Captain Jennifer Odom was a highly regarded West Point graduate and a very experienced Army pilot who had flown in more than 40 countries. But when she and 4 other American soldiers died this past July, nobody much noticed. They were the first U.S. soldiers, as far as we know, to die on a mission in a remote, mountainous war zone Washington doesn't like to talk about.
Why aren't these heroes that we should be extolling? You know, why are we trying to hide this? I don't understand.
Uh-oh. Whoops, he's got a gun.
Express kidnapping is such an epidemic that it has led to a boom in small businesses, like this driving school, which offers a crash course in how to avoid being kidnapped from your car.
Go, 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 go. Hit it, hit it, hit it. Hard. Good.
Or you can turn your car into a protected fortress at a cost of around $50,000. Some people will pay it to avoid what Ken Krusensterne went through. He was blindfolded, gagged, and tied to a chair for 13 days.
What was the worst part of being tied up in that chair?
The worst part of it was after a few days, I thought this hand was severed because there was absolutely no feeling in it.
Who wants to help?
The answer? Kids.
Okay, all those in favor of this agenda that we're doing today?
Craig started a group called Free the Children. The board of directors meets Saturdays in Craig's den turned command center.
Why you?
Why not? If everyone in the world could say, why me, then nothing ever would be accomplished. Why me? Because I've met those children, because I've seen them. Why not me? I'm pretty lucky. What else do I have to worry about?
Well, for the past 3 years, he hasn't worried about much else. And his organization, that group of kids who used to meet in his den, well, it's grown into the only international human rights group run by children.
I'm Dan Rather.
I'm Bob Simon.
I'm Charlie Rose.
I'm Vicki Mabry.
I'm Scott Pelley.
I'm Ed Bradley. Those stories tonight on 60 Minutes 2.
60 Minutes 2 is sponsored by The Hartford. Whatever life brings you, bring it on.
Possibility 1, he brings the car home without a scratch. The Hartford continues your safe driver rate. Possibility 2, he brings the car home without a word. The Hartford covers the damage the dent fairy must have done. Possibility 3, he brings the car home in pieces. We can still cover him, assuming he's not grounded for life. Whatever life brings you, bring it on.
After weeks of searching through remote territories, my efforts were rewarded. I noticed something moving in the brush, traveling nimbly across the rugged terrain. A group of nomadic males, strong, powerful, magnificent. They truly are impressive beasts.
Guarantees earliest delivery to the most international cities. How? Let's just say we stop at nothing.
Buongiorno. Il vostro pacchetto. Grazie. Aspetti. È urgentissimo.
What's the problem?
UPS, moving at the speed of business.
If you're gonna kiss, then kiss. If you're gonna eat, then eat. Sweet, steamy, wickedly fragrant French vanilla. One of the new sensations from Quaker oatmeal. Don't hold back.
Why nasal cramp? Look at me. I'm not sneezing, but I'm not drowsy. I'm not stuffy, but I'm not jittery. Nasal Cramp's incredible. It prevents allergies with none of these side effects. Nasal Cramp. The best way to stop suffering is never to start.
Wake up to the all-new Early Show with Brian Gumbel and Jane Clayson, coming November 1st.
Captain Jennifer Odom was a highly regarded West Point graduate and a very experienced Army pilot who had flown in more than 40 countries. But when she and 4 other American soldiers died this past July, nobody much noticed. They were the first U.S. soldiers, as far as we know, to die on a mission in Colombia, in a remote, mountainous war zone Washington doesn't like to talk about. Captain Odom's plane crashed in Colombia on a day when the U.S. Navy was still looking for JFK Jr. The plane crashed the same week the shuttle, piloted by the first female captain in history, took off from the Kennedy Space Center. But back in July, when we were hearing a lot about the shuttle and about JFK Jr., the government was telling us almost nothing about the death of Captain Jennifer Odom. Captain Odom was on a secret reconnaissance mission in Colombia, one of thousands of American anti-drug missions flown in the region. Odom's de Havilland-7 spy plane, like this one, was painted with civilian colors. She and her crew, dressed, we believe, in civilian clothes, were gathering intelligence in the joint American-Colombian effort against drug thugs and ideological guerrillas. The back of their plane was loaded with sophisticated surveillance equipment, apparently to take pictures of drug fields and drug traffickers. Captain Odom's husband, Chuck Odom, is a retired lieutenant colonel. He served in the Army for 20 years. Did your wife ever talk about the dangers of flying in Colombia?
Yes, specifically Colombia.
Tell me about it.
Specifically at night, specifically in the mountains.
And that's how Captain Odom died. At night, in the mountains, along with 4 other Americans and 2 Colombian airmen. Her plane crashed into a jungle-covered, steep mountain in a hostile part of Colombia controlled by communist guerrillas. The U.S. Army still refuses to give specific details about the mission or explain why the plane was flying at night. Back in July, Captain Odom's family couldn't even get basic information about the crash.
We were scrambling on the internet, trying to get bits and pieces of information as to, what was going on there. Repeated calls to Department of Defense led nowhere.
The irony could not have escaped you at the time. That when you were hoping against hope that your wife would somehow be found alive on this distant mountain slope, the search was going on for young John Kennedy's aircraft off Cape Cod.
At considerable government expense. At the same time that the search and rescue effort for my wife, a U.S. regular Army captain, was being handled by, at that point, the Colombian military. Don't get me wrong, no offense to the Kennedy family. My Lord, they've had more tragedy in their own family than any of us would want to have. But that notwithstanding, was his contribution any more significant or more lasting or more contributory to this nation than that girl whose picture I keep looking at over there, or those people on that crew?
The Army says it took a special operations team 5 days to locate and reach the remote crash site. Most of the remains of the victims were eventually recovered. Then they were examined by Colombian pathologists, placed in coffins in Bogota, and flown back to the United States, to the Air Force Base in Dover, Delaware.
We were told by the Department of the Army a certain time that her remains would be brought back, that we could meet the aircraft over at Dover. Department of State gave us another time.
Different time?
Different time. Oh, a big difference. Her command back at Fort Bliss, Texas, told us yet a third time.
Finally, it was Republican Congressman Roscoe Bartlett, not the Pentagon, not the White House, but Bartlett, who told them when Captain Odom would be coming home.
With what are we dealing here?
I don't know. The first 2 bodies came in at 3 a.m., I understand. There was a very brief service there. No press there, nothing in the press. Why shouldn't this be on the front page of the paper? Why aren't these heroes that we should be extolling? Why are we trying to hide this? I don't understand.
President Clinton released only a brief written statement on the crash. He did not name any of the crew members. Captain Odom's crew were all Army men. Jose Santiago was also a captain. Ray Kruger was a private first class. So was Bruce Clough. Thomas Moore was a chief warrant officer.
To those who say, gently, respectfully, you sign up, you train. The contract is, if necessary, you fly and die.
At some point, we as Americans or human beings need to understand that when a person dies honorably, if it's honorable, then they should be recognized for that publicly by their fellow human beings.
And you don't think your government has done that?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Chuck Odom moved from Texas to Maryland to be with his wife's parents after her plane crashed. Captain Odom is buried in her family's plot near Brunswick, Maryland.
And who made the decision, who made the final decision that she would be buried here?
I did. Because it's next to her, this is her family cemetery plot, and this is home. And that's where she would want to be. She had the option of going to West Point, to Arlington National Cemetery, to anywhere basically I wanted, but I knew that she would want to be here.
Do you now have all of the remains that are known to exist?
No, we do not.
No?
No.
Chuck Odom was led to believe that he had buried all of his wife in the cemetery. But later, to his surprise, more of her remains were sent home in this small box.
Another part right there on the mantle. And the third part was left in the aircraft in Columbia before it was blown up and destroyed.
The Army told the family a special forces team had to destroy the plane after they found it so that drug traffickers or communist guerrillas wouldn't steal its high-tech surveillance equipment. Captain Odom's parents, Janie and John Schaefer, who believe they've been unnecessarily kept in the dark about the cause of the crash, are now afraid they'll never know what happened.
You mentioned that you were concerned about the fact, and it is a fact, that they blew up the remains of the aircraft. Well, why do you think they blew it up?
I don't know. That would eliminate, that would put the end to any investigation, any future investigation.
Do you or do you not think the plane was shot down?
It's my best guesstimate, yes, that it was shot down.
You think it was shot down?
Yes, I do think it was shot down.
The Army refused to talk to us on camera, but we were told its official investigation, which the Army says may take several more months, will likely conclude the crash was caused by mechanical failure or pilot error.
Now, Jennifer died as she lived, actively involved, serving her God, serving her country.
At the First Baptist Church in Brunswick, everybody knew Jennifer Odom. No one was more shocked by her death than her grandmother, Rita Weber. She got a postcard from Jennifer the day that she died.
I wrote Jennifer every day of my life for 11 years. I'm still writing to her. I write her a little bit each night, tell her where I love her and I miss her, and we go to the graveyard and talk to you, sweetheart, and things like that.
The death of Captain Odom has been hard to accept for the whole family, including her father.
It's been really difficult the last 2 months. I have a hard time to get motivated to want to do anything. I just want to sit and mope. I hope in time that wears away.
Most people in this beautiful stretch of Maryland knew Captain Jennifer Odom. After all, her ancestors have been dairy farming this land for over 100 years. But like most Americans, folks here in Brunswick had no idea that this Maryland farm girl who went to West Point was constantly flying super-secret, very dangerous missions high in the Andes Mountains over the thick jungles of faraway Colombia. No idea, in fact, that her final mission for the U.S. Army was part of a rapidly escalating vicious war, a war in which the United States has been getting ever deeper. Well-organized, heavily armed communist guerrillas now have control of at least a third of the countryside in Colombia. And they are deeply involved in the drug trade, making hundreds of millions of dollars a year off drugs to finance their revolution. As we reported last month on 60 Minutes 2, the Clinton administration has already poured money, resources, and military equipment into Colombia to fight the war on drugs and the guerrillas. And now, under increased pressure from Republicans in Congress, the president's drug czar wants to up the ante, spending $1 billion in the region over the next 12 months. Captain Odom's plane crashed in an area controlled by the guerrillas.
Your opinion, are we winning or losing?
I'll give you her opinion. We're not winning this one. There's not enough of us meaning the people like her that do what they do every day.
What would be the motivation for not telling the family at least minimum details about how their loved ones died and why?
Because we as American citizens would not support, I don't believe, anything or any involvement in any country that is going to cost American lives, which in fact this did cost these lives.
And because more American lives could be lost in Colombia as the United States escalates the war on drugs and the nature of the war changes, Chuck Odom thinks it's time for the White House to start leveling with the American people.
What are we hiding here? What is it we're not telling me as a taxpayer what we're doing down in Colombia? We've sacrificed Americans in our whole history for our cause. And if this happens to be our cause today, at this point in time, then that's okay. But let's be upfront about it. We don't have to hide it.
All I want is a room somewhere
far away from the cold night air, with one enormous chair. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely?
At Lazy Boy, we make rooms full of lovely furniture, including America's favorite recliner.
Wouldn't it be lovely?
Announcing America's newest tire store, your Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer. They have just the brand name tires for you. Tires designed and built for your Ford, Mercury, or Lincoln. All at competitive prices. Now the best place to get tires is from factory-trained technicians, the people who know your car best. Quality care service, the right people, the right parts, and always the right prices at participating Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealers.
Now that we have a plan.
What can we afford?
If I retire at, say, 65.
No, 55. That's all right. Oh, 62.
Now, if Kevin goes Ivy League, let's get junior college.
Honey, if he gets into an Ivy League, he's going Ivy League.
You're right. Okay. I don't know.
Let's see it again. And buying the vineyard in Tuscany. Ooh. Vacation in Tuscany.
Yeah. That's nice.
I like that.
No matter what you want to achieve, we can help. Ask Merrill Lynch.
A father on the run from the mob.
You stole $2 million?
Wants Dick Van Dyke to watch his daughter.
For more excursions for you two.
All new Diagnosis Murder, CBS Thursday.
This business tycoon and his family are worth about $4 billion.
That has a ring to it.
The doorman of the building and his son are worth a little less.
My dogs are barking.
But when their kids fall in love, now that's rich.
Gorgeous dress.
Vera Wang, I like your belt.
Home Depot.
Love and Money, series premiere CBS Friday.
The government built his body to take on the most deadly criminals in the world. Friday, he'll be put to the test. On an all-new Now and Again.
When they say express in Mexico, they're not talking about a fast train. They're talking about a new and deadly danger called express kidnapping. It's a criminal epidemic that's affecting every aspect of daily life for Mexicans and for Americans visiting Mexico on business or on pleasure. Most victims are kidnapped when they're in their cars, so one way to protect yourself is to learn how to drive again. That's right, take driving lessons. And there are very specialized schools. We dropped in on one near Mexico City for a quick run through the curriculum.
Uh-oh.
Whoops, he's got a gun. You! He got us pretty bad. Del Buckley was our instructor.
If you can take one word from the entire course, it's move.
Move. Keep moving.
Okay? Just keep that car going.
Next lesson, make a quick exit no matter what. So I'm driving down the street, the car's parked on my left and my right.
And all of a sudden the car pulls out in front of you.
Yeah, and there he is, a green car in front of me.
Okay.
But,
You're not going to hit it because you don't see it.
Here's a guy who wants something.
Look over here, over here.
Good.
Go, 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 go. Hit it, hit it, hit it. Hard. Good. Excellent.
Think this school against scoundrels is a bit extreme? Listen to the statistics. Some 1,500 people were kidnapped last year in Mexico. That's 4 kidnappings every single day.
You know, I thought it's not going to happen to me.
Ken Krusensterne from Dallas became one of those statistics last November. He was on a business trip to the Mexican border town of Reynosa. He was abducted and taken to a safe house where the kidnappers kept him blindfolded, gagged, and tied to a chair, very tightly and very painfully, for 13 days.
What was the worst part of being tied up in that chair? The worst part of it was after a few days, I thought this hand was severed because there was absolutely no feeling in it. And I heard about the stories about them sending fingers and so forth, so I figured they sent that to my family.
What they did send to his family in Dallas was a demand for $350,000, but his family called the FBI, which convinced Mexican authorities to let them help in the case. While the negotiations dragged on, the kidnappers kept Krusensterne in a safe place, a very safe place.
And there's no way you could have gotten out of that chair. Every day I tried to think how I could get out of there. But then the thing that came through my mind was, will this chair go through the door? I don't know. And I was nude, and I thought, well, if I could get up and get... You were nude? I was nude. If I could get up and get out onto the street, I figured somebody's got to pay attention. The guy running down the street with a chair on his back nude, that there's got to be something wrong here.
What went wrong from the kidnappers' point of view was that they were using Krusensterne's cell phone, which the FBI traced right to their hideout. That's where these kidnappers were caught.
All hell broke loose. There was a lot of commotions and everything going on, and there was some gunshots, and all of a sudden somebody tapped me on the chest and said, police, look, okay, we're the good guys.
He actually said that, we're the good guys?
Yeah. And
everybody's been to the movies, huh?
Yeah.
And this movie had a happy ending because Krusensterne is an American and the FBI came to the rescue. But the vast majority of victims are ordinary Mexicans stricken with a bad case of bad luck.
Well, it's a big-time political issue now, isn't it?
It's probably the most important political issue in the country at this time. Most public opinion polls at this point indicate that public insecurity has become the most important political concern for Mexicans.
Sergio Sarmiento is a TV commentator and a columnist for Mexico's most prestigious newspaper. He writes often about Mexico's crime problem because he knows a lot about it. He was kidnapped, too.
It was probably the most traumatic experience in my life, and I really thought that they were going to kill me.
Mexico has been socked by kidnapping since the mid-90s, when the economy went south and drug trafficking settled in. Kidnapping is lucrative, easy, and safe. There are hardly ever any arrests, and in a culture which made mañana into a lifestyle, it all happens very quickly, often in the seconds before a traffic light changes from red to green. That's what happened to Sergio Sarmiento. It's called an express kidnapping, the most popular kind.
I stopped at a red light. I just heard someone knocking on the window of the car, and I turned around. There's this guy with a gun. He's pointing at me, and he got into the car. Someone else got into the backseat of the car with another gun, and they got my ATM card. Then they put me in the trunk of the car. They kept me in the trunk of the car for roughly about 18 hours, I think.
18 hours in a trunk?
18 hours in a trunk, yes.
The kidnappers used those 18 hours to loot his ATM account of $5,000. Only then did they release him.
Why do you think the kidnappers picked you?
Rich people now have a lot of protection, and it's become far riskier to kidnap very rich people. Maybe you get a lot more money from a rich person, but if you kidnap enough middle-class people, you can probably make a fairly decent living.
Crime and taxes, the middle class gets socked, huh?
Yes, that's right. That's always.
The rich can hire personal bodyguards from one of the 1,000 companies listed in the phone book. And they can drop by this Mexico City factory where Daniel Bell will turn their cars into tanks.
So if I call you from Mexico City and say, you know, a couple of my friends have been kidnapped and I'm really scared, can you help me? Yes. And your answer is?
Yes, of course. I would recommend probably an SUV vehicle, sport utility vehicle.
And meanwhile, you will have done what to my SUV vehicle?
We will have installed 39 millimeter glass. We would have put in ballistic steel around the perimeter of your vehicle, and we will make sure that you do not have any ballistic gap whatsoever.
Now, ballistic gap, this means that I can't be shot, basically.
That's right. That means that no matter where a bullet is aimed at your vehicle, that it's not going to penetrate.
So if a guy comes at me with a 45 or a Beretta, I'm okay?
That's right.
What if he comes at me with an M16?
Well, it actually all depends on the level of protection that you're buying. Our level 6 vehicle is chemical attack resistant.
Chemical attack resistant.
It's assault rifle.
The cost? $40,000 to $50,000 above the sticker price. There are lots of takers. Bell's business has jumped 400% in the last 3 years. But what if you can't afford it? Shouldn't the police protect you? In fact, incredibly, it turns out that police are involved in many of the kidnappings. Some experts say most. This cop, for instance, was snapped by a security camera taking money out of an ATM account. It wasn't his account. It belonged to a kidnap victim who was murdered. This guy, the one in the cowboy hat, was the head of the police anti-kidnap squad in the Mexican state of Morelos. That is, until he was arrested on kidnapping charges. The heads of kidnapping units in 2 other Mexican states have also been arrested for kidnapping. These 5 men are cops, too. They've been charged with kidnapping 17 people and then murdering them. Mexico City has had 3 police chiefs in the last 18 months. Alejandro Gertz, a college professor, is the 3rd. He's got no police experience, which is why the mayor figured he might just be an honest man.
You said that you're not really in control of the police force.
Well, yes, I think so. The last people who were in charge of this police, they weren't in control.
Imagine becoming police chief and discovering that virtually the entire force is corrupt. It's not just kidnapping, it's everything. And the corruption begins before a new cop gets to walk his first beat. Police Academy in the United States is a comedy. Here in Mexico, it's a different kind of joke, but nobody's laughing. Inside these doors, recruits don't learn how to fight crime, they learn how to become criminals. The curriculum includes the finer points of extortion, bribery, and shakedowns. The star pupil in recent years has been Daniel Arizmendi, an ex-cop who turned kidnapping into an art form. His specialty? Cutting off his victims' ears with chicken wire scissors and sending them to the victim's family. He explained why to a Mexican television interviewer shortly after his arrest last August.
When they didn't give me what I wanted, I would mutilate them. I think sending them an ear makes a pretty big impression.
It's an ear, all right.
This is some of Arizmendi's handiwork, shown to us by Patricia Bugarin, the special prosecutor for kidnappings. She is Mexico City's Elliot Ness.
Whose ear is this?
This ear belonged to a young person, I can't give his name, kidnapped by Daniel Arizmendi. It was sent to the family in a jar like this, with a note saying, if you don't meet our demands, we'll send you the other ear.
Did they pay the ransom?
Yes, definitely. He does not negotiate, he demands.
Receiving an ear in a jar tends to cut negotiations short.
Patricia has other souvenirs, too, like this videotape kidnappers sent to the family of a father and son they held for 102 days.
They're demanding 20 million pesos for our release. They will call you in 15 days in the office. Please be there.
But this story had a happy ending, captured on police videotape just after the victims were rescued.
They were kept in this room. They had to go to the bathroom in these buckets.
Had they been treated very badly?
No, but they were tortured psychologically.
And guess what? What's in the closet? Is that a police uniform?
Yes, one of the gang members was a policeman.
It's like so many horror movies where the person you most want to trust turns out to be the killer.
Very often people are convinced that those who kidnap them are also working for the police departments. That's why they don't lodge complaints. They're always afraid of that there might be some kind of a reprisal against them or against their families. They're afraid, and they're afraid of the criminals, but they're also afraid of the police.
Which may be the same thing.
Which may be the same thing.
We are...
Police Chief Alejandro Gertz.
You're saying that until now the kidnappers have been, to a large extent, the police themselves?
Sometimes, yes.
Which is why when somebody's loved one is kidnapped, they don't call the police because they're afraid that the police are in on the job.
It has happened in every family, in my own, in every family.
It has happened in your family?
Yes.
And what happened?
Well, we solved it.
You solved it privately or with the police?
Partly privately, and we put those people in front of the judge. Now they are out.
Was this someone very close to you? Can you talk about it?
I wouldn't like to be so personal.
And how are Gertz and his colleagues attacking the problem? With Mexico's very own elite anti-kidnapping squad. This is just a drill, of course, which is perhaps why everyone's behaving so bravely and why it's all going according to script. But Gertz would be the first to admit that something is rotten in the state of Mexico and that it will take a lot more than a few good men to set it right.
What would you say to a family to convince them to come to the police if one of their loved ones is kidnapped?
We have to give them the feeling that the police is in their side. That's the job.
Getting the police on their side is the job, all right, but where do you begin?
Are you ever tempted after a day's work to fire everyone and start all over again?
Can you imagine?
Honey, we're going to miss our plane.
No, I know. Great shortcut.
At Dollar, our low rates and fast lane service make it easy to get into our cars.
You know, Billy, llama lips are very much like humans. I wouldn't kiss one.
And our express return and on-airport locations make it easy to get out. Assuming, of course, you know where you're going.
This is the flight to Cincinnati, isn't it?
Dollar. Makes sense.
28 different children from 28 different families with 28 different futures whose parents all share the need for help making informed decisions on what matters most: their health, their finances, their future. One name, Aetna, for what matters most.
"60 Minutes 2, a CBS News magazine, continues in a moment with Ed Bradley and a 60 Minutes classic.
The address, CBS.
Remember when you could get into a movie for free by donating canned goods? Well, now that Regal Cinemas owns local theaters, that food drive is being cut back. Point 6 News investigates tonight. Also coming up tonight at 11, find out how much Monica Lewinsky is getting paid to lose 100 pounds. And a local school district has started busing kids across town, even if they live right next door to a school. We'll explain the controversial busing plan. Watch Point 6 News at 11.
Nearly 60 years ago, Weyerhaeuser started North America's first tree farm. 30 years ago, we developed high-yield forestry to help grow more on the land. Now our 100th birthday is almost here, and we're finding new ways to provide forest products and protect forest habitats. So when people ask how old we are, we can say 100, and we're still growing. Weyerhaeuser. The future is growing.
It's the annual premier RV clearance sale of the year. The biggest savings and selection in one location. The original sale and expo for 23 years at the Salem Fairgrounds this Friday through Sunday.
Selection's marvelous. I mean, there's everything you want to find.
A couple that I really like for a very reasonable price.
Take the family RV camping in comfort. Building your trust for 23 years at the Salem Fairgrounds, where it's relaxed, friendly, warm, and inside.
A popular computer takes a huge price dive. We'll tell you about it at 11.
The young man we're about to meet in tonight's classic, we first met 3 years ago when we profiled him on 60 Minutes. When you first see him, you might think he's just some ordinary kid, but 16-year-old Craig Kielburger is anything but ordinary. He has met with some of the most important political and religious leaders of our time, and his life's mission is to fight against child labor and slavery. 3 years ago, when he was 13, we thought that made him pretty extraordinary. Well, it turns out others agreed. Last year, he won the prestigious Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt Medal of Freedom. He was in good company. John F. Kennedy, Harry Truman, Elie Wiesel, and Desmond Tutu have also won.
Freeing children is never a question of money. Freeing children is simply a question of political will.
To understand how a teenager from Toronto, Canada became the inspiration for a 5,000-member organization called Free the Children with chapters in 25 countries, an organization that he started with a few of his friends, perhaps we should start when we first met him 3 years ago.
Well, basically, we're told slavery abolished. You know, not 20th century. You don't find slavery in the world today. But it was really shocking was when I was just reading through the different research that I got, and you find the worst type of slavery still exists today, slavery of children.
It all started when Craig was 12 and read this newspaper story about a boy his age in Pakistan. His name was Iqbal Masih, and when he was only 4 years old, his parents, like so many others, offered their son's labor in exchange for a small loan. Iqbal spent the next 6 years chained to a rug loom like this one, working 12-hour days for pennies, until he finally escaped and joined a crusade against child labor. But after winning worldwide recognition, Iqbal's life was cut short when at the age of 12, he was shot dead in the streets of his village. No one has been convicted of the murder, and Craig Kielburger vowed to keep his cause alive.
But what made you think you could do something about it?
Originally, I didn't think I could, really. But the only way you're going to ever find out is try. So after doing some research, I just walked to my classmates and said, listen, I read this article. Here's a problem. This is what I know, which at that point was not very much. And I asked, who wants to help?
The answer? Kids.
Okay, all those in favor of this agenda that we're doing today?
Craig started a group called Free the Children. The board of directors meet Saturdays in Craig's den turned command center. They're in daily contact by phone or fax with a host of international human rights groups. Craig has always done his homework to keep up on the issue, but he soon felt that homework wasn't enough. He had to meet the children he was trying to help.
Why did you decide to take the trip to Asia?
I just wanted to learn more on the issue of child labor. I wanted to make sure that we're not imposing our Western culture on these people. I wanted to speak to the children. I wanted to hear their views. Ask them, what do you want? How can your life be better?
Did your parents want you to go to Asia?
No way. You should imagine the look on their face the first time I told them.
We wouldn't even let him take the subway downtown Toronto by himself. So to let him go to Asia was unthinkable.
Teresa and Fred Kielberger are both school teachers.
Yet you did change your mind.
Well, we did, but at first he works on you, you know.
He worked on them so well, they let him miss 7 weeks of school, bought his plane ticket to travel halfway around the world. Chaperoned at each stop by local human rights advocates and armed with a video camera, he went from Bangladesh to Thailand and then on to India, Nepal, and Pakistan.
The perception that I had was that in child labor, it's all in the deep, dark back alleys. No one can see it beyond public scrutiny. But the truth is, it's practiced in the open.
The shock for Craig was to discover that child labor wasn't just in hidden sweatshops, it was everywhere. And a boy making metal cups to be shipped to hotels and restaurants. A girl bagging candy 11 hours a day in an overheated room. Or a boy stitching soccer balls. Craig found himself staring into faces his age and younger. Kids who were missing their childhood, who were separated from their parents, tortured for small mistakes. And in some cases, the work was life-threatening.
One shop that I went into, I met one 8-year-old girl. She was just pulling apart syringes and needles, piece by piece, putting them in buckets for their plastics. She wore no gloves, literally, and no shoes. All she was doing was squatting on the ground, surrounded by a pile of needles.
Used needles?
Yes, they were from hospitals, from the street, from the garbage. We asked her, don't you worry about AIDS and other diseases like that? We got no response. She didn't know what they were.
Are the two of you activists?
We're not involved in anything, actually. We're quite dull. We're quite dull.
But their life is far from dull these days. The phone rings at all hours. An uninterrupted family dinner is a rare occasion, and goodbyes are routine.
Make sure you have time for fun.
Craig admits to sometimes feeling run down, but says he can't slow down when there's so much left to do.
A lot of people say, it's a lot easier to be ignorant and say, I don't know the problem. But once you know that problem, once you've seen it in their eyes, then you have a responsibility to do something.
Why you?
Why not? If everyone in the world could say, why me, then nothing ever would be accomplished. Why me? Because I've met those children, because I've seen them. Why not me? I'm pretty lucky. What else do I have to worry about?
Well, for the past 3 years, he hasn't worried about much else. And his organization, that group of kids who used to meet in his den, well, it's grown into the only international human rights group run by children. And you'll notice that at 16, Craig's voice has started to change.
How many countries are you in now?
Oh, we have groups in over 25 nations. We've, for example, now run 35 schools in countries ranging from India to Nicaragua. We've established alternative sources of income projects by giving land, by giving soy machines and cows so poor families can lift themselves out of poverty and send their children to school, collecting tens of thousands of school and health kits for children around the globe, from South Africa to the Philippines to India, and the list goes on and on.
It includes the introduction of Rugmark into Canada, a labeling system for carpets which guarantees they have not been made by children in bondage and that adult workers are paid a fair wage and work in decent conditions. And Free the Children, along with other human rights groups, pressured Nike to rethink its child labor practices. Today, the company bars its factories from hiring workers younger than 18 years old. Today, Free the Children is run like a business. There's a 5-room suite of offices with computers, phones, copy, and fax machines.
The most important thing in the office. It breaks all the time, but we still love it.
And there are also 4 adults on staff. But there is still a steady stream of children stuffing envelopes and addressing flyers. And the kids still run it. Over the past 4 years, Free the Children members all over the world have raised $1 million. To date, $900,000 has gone directly to fund humanitarian projects and programs for children.
A lot of the original family members, the youth who you met, are now becoming mentors and resource personnel and helping to train the new generation of youth as young as 8, 9, 10 years old.
In any given month, Craig might make 5 trips like this one. A visit to a school near Detroit, an inspirational talk in the gym.
86% of the children and the infants live in absolute poverty. They now have a school.
And then the practical, preparing supplies, this time for young victims of the floods in Central America.
What would you say, Craig, to someone who would say that this life that you live now at 16 is not a normal life?
Again, it comes down to what is normal. Is normal simply rebelling against society by wearing the designer logos to redefine our image? Is it simply about TV or malls or girls? I do enjoy doing that, but there is more to life than just that.
16-year-old Craig spends a lot of his time on the road, often alone, arriving home in Toronto from this trip at 8 a.m. after an all-night flight.
Hi, Mom, Dad. It's now 8 o'clock. At the airport, wondering if I should grab a cab or if you're going to meet me.
Even after 2 weeks on the road, it's a school day. Craig is in an individualized program that allows him to travel and keep up with his classwork. He appears to be pretty popular with the kids in his class and with his teachers.
Working on English, just wrapping up my best.
Whether it's French class or calculus.
On these tests, the form that you used was terrific. Diagrams were excellent. It really showed that you really knew what you were doing with that one.
It probably wouldn't surprise anyone that Craig Kielberger gets straight A's.
So will you go to college?
Oh, absolutely. I plan on going all the way for my PhD, so I'm going to be in school till I'm 40 or something.
What do you want to major in college?
Actually, I hope to study international conflict mediation. I've had the chance to travel to Bosnia quite a bit in areas of armed conflict and to see what war does. And so I want to be involved in helping stop wars before they begin.
What about going into politics, where you might be able to make a big difference in social policy?
I'm just, how this is going to come off, not exactly how I want to say it, but I've met too many politicians. And it's a very noble pursuit, but I find you have to compromise, too many of your morals when you enter politics.
You've become a celebrity over these last few years. We've seen pictures of you with the Dalai Lama, the Queen of England, the President and Mrs. Clinton, the Vice President and his wife, Mother Teresa. What are you thinking when you're standing there posing with these people?
Frankly, it sounds horrible, but I'm thinking, well, how can we really get them involved? How can we really, it's great meeting with them, but the only reason I do meet with them is not to get the picture taken because, every person is just another person. To this day, they're all incredibly interesting people. I enjoyed meeting all of them, but they're still not the people who impressed me the most.
Who impressed you the most?
A lot of the children who I met. I still remember, for example, in Thailand, there was a young street girl who I handed an orange to. And she took the orange and she peeled it and she broke it, shared it with her friends. Or a child who I saw in India, he was crippled. And so his friends were carrying him from place to place so he wouldn't be left behind. And to this day, I'm convinced if you took these children and put them in those positions of power, we would see this world truly be a different place.
60 Minutes 2 will continue in a moment. CBS Market Watch Update, sponsored by Charles Schwab.
Good evening. The head of the FCC wants MCI, WorldCom, and Sprint to prove their merger would benefit consumers. Stocks closed mixed after the Fed declined to raise interest rates today, but indicated it is inclined to raise them in the future. And average baseball attendance this season fell to 29,000 a game. I'm Anthony Mason, CBS News.
Shannon Sharp, please. Guy's always talking trash.
Japan, baby!
He's always trying to get inside your head.
Seahorse, get
don't know your elbows from your...
And sometimes it can get downright nasty.
I bet you pay transaction fees on your mutual funds. Your mama pays full commission. You know how to calculate a P/E ratio?
When we created a smarter kind of investment firm,
How diversified is your portfolio?
we created a smarter kind of investor.
You can't even spell Dow Jones. Okay, guys, let's get this right. To calculate a P/E ratio, you divide the stock price.
Market Watch update from CBS News.
Is that what I think it is? But it's just a... Try it.
Incredible. The wireless internet right here in my hands. News, sports, even Yahoo, all on Sprint PCS. And the calls?
Clear digital calls. Nothing else has changed.
Do you think they're ready? Some are.
Others will follow.
Introducing the Sprint PCS wireless web.
Out here, the stories unfold like a map. Stories written across the sky with the tip of an eagle's wing. Stories to fill a scrapbook you'd want to page through again and again. But first, you've got to go to where the stories live. You'll need an outfitter for the journey. Ford is your outfitter. With the most far-reaching sport utilities on Earth, created to take you where the stories begin and never end. Ford Outfitters. No boundaries.
Medicine is always changing. The managed care companies that did not change did not survive. With managed care, or HMO, a health maintenance organization, the word that I think a lot of us are forgetting is that word health. Health is what it's all about. And that's what we're trained for. Prevent disease before it occurs, because if you catch it late, then you have more cost. And so you want to provide better quality to the patient initially. Preventive medicine is probably the best it's ever been.
Today's managed health care. There's a lot to feel good about.
So I like managed care because I can treat people earlier.
Amy Gray has only been a judge for a few weeks, but she just got the case of a lifetime.
Is the 10-year-old comatose boy the messenger of God?
Is it a miracle?
People started to come, and he healed them.
Or abuse?
These marks are being inflicted, and not by God.
Amy Brenneman stars in Judging Amy, CBS Next.
Maddie and Josh were friends.
Hi.
But what happened between them shattered two families. Why did Josh kill? 48 Hours Thursday.
Stephen Collins stars in As Time Runs Out, CBS Wednesday.
Way back in 1922, Fred G. Meyer had a unique idea. Save customers time and money by having more selection than any other store.
And we're celebrating 77 years with a great big anniversary sale.
Look for the best buys, like a Magnavox TV VCR combo. The entire stock of Levi's is on sale.
There's big savings on Coke. And enter to win a trip to celebrate the millennium in Times Square.
So hurry into the 77th anniversary sale. You'll find it at Fred Meyer.
The 2000 Kia Sportage. Rugged, dependable, and starting about $4,000 less than the Honda CR-V. The Sportage is built on a solid truck frame.
I wonder where those guys are.
They probably stopped off for hair gel or something. The Honda has an ordinary car chassis, and that can affect your performance.
It's okay. Happens to a lot of guys.
Sportage. It's not the size of the sticker that counts.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gianola from Coin 6 News. As a public service to our Latino community, you can find our 5, 6, and 6:30 p.m. newscasts in Spanish on your television SAP channel. Don't have a SAP channel on your TV? Then listen to Coin 6 News at 6 and 6:30 p.m. on La Zeta, KMUZ Radio, 12:30 a.m.
Nordstrom salutes all of our Hispanic neighbors during Hispanic Heritage Month and is proud to sponsor this Spanish simulcast of Coin 6 News.
CBS programming on Coin 6, brought to you in part by Portland Center Stage.
If George W. Bush decides to tell all about his past, he'll have at least one sympathetic listener, Jimmy Tingle.
People running for president have the rare opportunity to show some serious leadership skills, not necessarily by being elected, but simply by telling the truth. Bill Bradley admitted on national television that he smoked marijuana in the past. And you know what? The world did not come to an end. George W. Bush seems to be doing his best to tell the truth about his past. Here's what he said in August.
I told people I made some mistakes years ago. I've learned from my mistakes. And the American people can either accept that answer or not accept the answer.
He says he learned from his mistakes. But he never really tells us what those mistakes were.
You know, I've talked about my background. All I'm going to talk about.
Maybe he should just tell us about his mistakes so we can learn from them as well. It's okay. We can handle it. We're a big country. There is hardly anyone in America who has not been affected either directly or indirectly by the use or abuse of alcohol and drugs, myself included. Years ago, I went to a doctor. I said, "Doc, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I can't seem to stop drinking." He said, "That's not good, Jim." And he gave me this alcohol consumption questionnaire to fill out with 20 questions on it. Questions like, do you ever drink in the morning? Do you ever drink alone? Has drinking affected your reputation? Has drinking ever affected your memory? I can't remember all the questions. There were 20 of them. I filled it out honestly. A few minutes later, he came back out of the office and said, "Jim, I have some bad news, but I have some good news." "Really? What's the bad news?" "Well, Jim, it is my professional opinion that you are definitely an alcoholic." "Really? What's the good news?" "You got a 90 on the test." In this day and age, people are no longer considered social outcasts for admitting to using alcohol, drugs, or to even admitting to addiction. Look at Betty Ford.
I've tried to share with you some of the experiences that my family and I went through when facing up to my addiction to prescription drugs and alcohol.
Betty Ford, through her honesty, humility, and power of example, may have actually helped a lot more people than Jerry Ford, and he was the president.
I'm Vicki Mabry. We'll be back next Tuesday with another edition of 60 Minutes, too. Now, here's a look at what's coming up tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
You probably know that being overweight isn't good for you, but do you know just how bad it is? After testing over 1 million people, scientists now know. And tomorrow we'll have their eye-opening results. Plus, the story of a performer who found a life-saving link between cancer and country music. The American Dream on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
America still has a frontier.
San Francisco. Pretty amazing place. Especially for a MetLife financial professional.
So you recommend mutual funds?
I do. It's a great way to save.
When America moved west, MetLife invested in railroads, telephone, and electric lines. We helped connect the country. That's MetLife.
Pull a 401k up on the screen. I work with people who work in the future. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen here first.
If you're gonna laugh, laugh. If you're gonna dig in. Warm, rich, rousing baked apple. One of the new sensations from Quaker Oatmeal. Just don't hold back.
Enterprise, rent a car for my trip? Looks expensive.
It's not expensive, Mom.
They pick us up? Sounds expensive.
Pickup's free, Mom.
Well, if it's not expensive, why didn't I get a convertible?
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
There are a few things you need to do to make your home safe for you and your family, like setting your water heater at 120 degrees Fahrenheit to prevent burns, and installing smoke alarms outside of bedrooms. If your home was built before 1978, have it tested for lead-based paints. Did I mention proper wiring?
For a free brochure on HUD's Healthy Homes and to learn how an FHA loan can help you buy a home, just call.
HUD and FHA are on your side.
CBS Thursday, a newborn with a rare birth defect.
The circulation to her heart and lungs are switched.
Will she die?
Only the best surgeon can save her.
Dr. Carey's success rate's excellent.
But would you entrust your baby's life? She's beautiful. To a doctor with Tourette's syndrome?
No.
Don't miss the powerful all-new Chicago Hope, CBS Thursday. 1,000 tons of runaway steel. One man can stop it.
We got 200 people on this train.
Robert Urich.
I can save these people.
Final run, CBS Sunday.